Hello, I'm Jenny Honigan, agency consultant with Kite Technology, and thank you for joining me for this episode of Consulting Corner. Today I'm going to talk to you about configuring Renewals Manager. Now keep in mind, Renewals Manager is not going to be an automated process. It's going to be manual, and you want it to be manual. So I want to show you how to configure your system to use Renewals Manager. Let me share my screen and let's get started. I want to go to configure and show you some of the places that we can control what we're seeing on the Renewals Manager screen. The first place is actually in the policy type, and you see that I'm here on configure policy and types. Each policy type can be set to appear in the Renewals Manager just however many days in advance that you want to see them. Typically, we see 90 days in advance for personal lines and 120 days for commercial lines, but you can certainly alter that to whatever suits your agency best. All you do is double click as if you're editing the rest of the policy and just update this to update that number, just as simple as that. This is the first step in configuring Renewals Manager. Then after that, we want to roll up in the policy section and we want to go to the Renewals Manager settings. So at the top, we have this renewals visibility, and we can control who sees what in the agency. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be across the board for the whole database. So this is not just my settings that I'm working on. This is everybody's settings. So your choices are display the renewals for all the employees or filter the renewals by the view other settings in employee detail. So if you went to your employee account, there's a view others tab, and you can add and remove employees there. Whichever employees are on your view others tab, that's whose renewals you will see. I personally like just to display renewals for all employees. That way I don't have to go in and constantly monitor those lists on every employee account. And I will show you, if you go to Renewals Manager and you've got your list of everything, if you're seeing everybody's and you have that setting, if you just filter your list to however you want to filter it, in this case, we'll do client service rep, and we can say begins with Jen for Jenny. It's going to pull up just my policies now, and you see, just like everywhere else in Epic, this list is filtered, so the header turns blue. I know that it's a filtered list, and if I want to save that, then I just click Filtered Defaults and use as default. And now every time I go into Renewals Manager, that filter is going to be set. I can clear the filter and see other people. So if my colleague is on vacation, I can go and back them up and work on their renewals for them as well. But when I go out and go back in, you'll be able to see that I can, if I go out and go back in, you'll be able to see that my filter has stayed. And there's my filter. So that's kind of that's the first section there. The other thing, the other main configuration that you want to deal with is the renewal stages. Now, keep in mind, this is not the status of your policy. The policy status is completely different. That's what you're using for your reports. These are the stages. This is just to answer the question that a producer may have or a manager may have of what's the status of this renewal. So instead of you printing out a report and having notes on your desk and having somebody come and interrupt your work and ask you what the status of the renewal is, they can go and they can look through these stages and say, oh, I see this, we're remarketing this, or we're still in the middle, I've sent the proposal to the client. So this gives you a good stage. So to keep in mind, the ones that come out of the box of Epic might not work for your agency. In fact, if you have anything with the word lapse in it, that's Canadian. So if you're in the US, you can get rid of those. And you want to go ahead and clean these up and make these useful to your agency. These are fully customizable. Word of caution, I would inactivate or delete these stages rather than just changing the wording if you're changing it to something completely different. If you want to change this to just not started as opposed to renewal not started, that's fine. But don't change it to canceled or something like that, because it's going to change that on every single policy in the whole database that has that stage in it. So best practice is you can delete it if it's being in use. It's not going to let you, so then you'll have to just actions inactivate, just like with your activities. So keep in mind, you want the key stages that your agency uses. So once you get these configured, you want to make a cheat sheet for your users, and just say use non-renewal pending when you get that notice of non-renewal and you haven't decided whether to remarket or not. Spell that out, give it to your users as a cheat sheet so that everybody's on the same page and these stages mean the same thing to everybody. Another word about these stages here. When you typically have a beginning stage of the renewals not started. Now remember, this is the expiring term. So when you first write a policy, you will see that this policy starts in renewal not started. And when you get to the end of when you get towards the end of the term, that's when you start the renewal process, and that's when you're going to move it through. So through most of the life of the policy, it's going to be in this stage. We like to have this beginning stage of renewal not started. And then there's typically the ending stage. The policy was renewed or rewritten. And we actually have two in our database. We have renewed or rewritten, or it was not renewed, as in it was lost, canceled, no longer needed. You'll see that this cuts off. So keeping your description short is going to be really helpful to you so that your users can see exactly what's going on there too. So with your beginning stage, this is going to be on every policy in your database, even the ones that migrated over. If you were a TAM or another AMS or just did a flat transfer, they're all going to have this stage on there. So you may have policies from 1994 that you don't want to necessarily manage the renewal for. You don't want to go back and clean up history in that sense. So one of the things that you can do is you can give a limit to how long it stays on Renewals Manager. And we typically say 30 days after expiration. That gives you a month to catch anything that you might have missed. So, so this beginning stage, we keep it at 30 days. The ending stages, we typically like to keep on just for one day after the expiration. These ending stages are, I have renewed the policy, I have received the policy document, I have checked it, I have issued my certificates, I've entered my transactions, I've done all of the final things that I need to do, and I've sent a copy to the insured. This renewal is finished. Once it's finished, then you mark it as renewed or rewritten, and you only keep it on for the next day after it expires. That keeps your Renewals Manager list fresh. And then the same thing if you want to do the lost business. Once it's completely canceled, receive that final cancellation, notify the insured, put it to bed, change it to this stage, keep it on for a day after expiration. The in-between stages, if you've kept them, if you started working this renewal and started doing this Renewals Manager process, you want to keep these indefinitely, because once you've started this process, you want them to stay until you not renew them or rewritten. You don't want them to expire in the middle of what you're trying to do. So this is completely separate. Yes, you're going to have activity notes and you're going to know what's going on there, but this is a nice interactive list that everybody can go in and check and see the status of that renewal. One last place I want to show you for configuration is the Renewals Manager events, and I'm just going to bring you here to say don't mess with this. Don't worry about having the stage update when you cancel the policy. When you cancel that policy, you may have pre-canceled it because you're going to rewrite it to another carrier and you're going to change it to canceled, rewritten. You don't want to update that stage to canceled or lost. It may or may not be canceled or lost. And then when you renew a policy, you don't want to update that stage to renewed, because remember, you've just started the renewals process when you actions renew. So you don't want to update the stage. You want to be in control of when that stage is updated. The only time we want to allow Epic to update the stage for us is at the beginning when we first first enter a policy in Epic. So we're going to create a policy and it's going to change to renewal not started. Same thing when we renew the policy on that renewal term, it's going to say renewal not started. That means the renewal for the next year. So don't get that confused. It's easy to get that confused. So that's just a little bit about configuring Renewals Manager. If you came over here looking for more, head over to our website, www.kitetechgroup.com. We have all kinds of resources there, including our pre-recorded webinar on Renewals Manager, implementing it for your agency, how to use it. In addition, we offer help with Epic optimizations, Epic migrations, accounting, fresh start, accounting cleanup, bookkeeping. We also do managed IT and Microsoft 365 services. So head over to our website and find out more. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time with the Consultant Corner. Bye.